Hey everybody, I'm back. It may be very bright in here, I know. Very good lighting this evening, but I have been whack-a-doodle for the past like 2 hours. I decided to take my room apart here just a little bit. Yes, the table is a mess again, but it's okay. It's going to get cleared in about 5 minutes. Besides that, you ever wonder, like, if you can't find something and all of a sudden you think of something, oh yeah, where is that thing? Where did I put that? And the fact is that you haven't seen it in a matter of years. I've been looking for something for like 2 years now. My husband tends to, that's the vacuum out of the way. My husband tends to alphabetize, like, categorize his DVDs. And I'm sitting here, and I asked him this the other night. I says, well, where is it? I'm at the point where, what did I do with it? Because I see it and I know I had it, but I just can't find it. It is so annoying. Have you ever been through that? Okay. Well, finally, I had to look into my cabinet. Now, this is a 4-section cabinet. It is on a rotating, my husband put it together and everything when we first relocated here. And it was very nice. It's got to hold at least 2,000 or 2,500 DVDs. And then, how many videotapes and how many, this and that. But, it really is a nice piece, and it rotates, so there's more than one section on this. So if I go like this, and if I can, turn it, which this would be the front over here, so I have to watch. And it's really, really, really nice, and that's how it would usually be here. But I've been searching for a DVD, and I'm going to myself, where is it? My husband's going, I don't know. Finally, after this, I says, let me rip this apart and let me really, really, really look for it. I looked for it on Amazon again, just in case, because that's where we originally purchased it from. And they do have a copy of it. So I was like, okay, I may have to buy this again because I really want this DVD back. To make a long story even shorter, all the way on the bottom shelf, all the way in the corner of the last DVD, there it was. So I managed to find it. I have been on, so you can easily say that you've been on a kick of something, of music or a band, and I've been doing that. But I've been on a World's Fair kick. Now here in New York City, we had the 1939 World's Fair, which none of us were around for that. At least my mother was 9 years old. I remember her telling me stories that she went, my own mommy. And back in 1964 and 65, they had a World's Fair again, and it was in Corona, Flushing Meadows Park, here in Queens, New York, where my grandparents hail from, because they were from Corona. My mother-in-law and her mom, which is a nice lady also, they took my husband, who happened to have been about 2 years older. My husband vaguely remembers. He says, I can remember maybe little bit and pieces. He says, I remember my mom getting me to sit in that red carriage. It was a stroller, but it was shaped as a car. And he says, and I remember that. He says, and I remember the color, it was red. Then he thinks that he remembers her taking him on It's a Small World. Okay, so I've been on a Disney kick with this lately. And sure enough, on the bottom, I did manage to find the documentary, Relive the Wonder, the 1964 World's Fair. This is what I have been dying to see for the past, I haven't seen it in like 2 years. So, I mean, I could watch it on YouTube, but why would I want to do that when I could just watch it on my own TV, So I will be watching that, and there's our sphere. There's our sphere of the world, and it really is an amazing documentary. And my husband and I, we will be going there again, because we do. I mean, that in our old neighborhood before we relocated here, that is our old neighborhood. So we could go once a week. It's a beautiful area, beautiful park. Unfortunately, there's nothing there anymore. So, but it's just to relive, and they do have some plaques in the ground as to where the exhibits were, and they were all exhibits. This always reminded us. People would argue with us on this day. There is a little controversy going, but you can't tell us none because we are New Yorkers. I mean, this was, to me and to my husband, this was the original Epcot, because you have all the countries, the pavilions, and Walt Disney brought over certain exhibits. He worked with our governor and our mayor back then, and concocted all these things. And it's just an amazing documentary. So I am so glad that I own it and I don't have to rebuy it. And then also I did find my other DVDs, which I haven't seen this in years either, which is the 100 Years of Magic, which is Disney. Okay, it's the Walt Disney story. So don't get this twisted that the 100 years is happening now. This was many years ago. So this is 100 Years of Magic. So I also have that DVD. I mean, we go back with our information. But yeah. And one of the things is like, I was talking to my husband about this, and this is so funny, because my father-in-law, which is his father, was an awesome photographer. And that was one of the reasons why me and him clicked so much together. I was very close with him. And always for photography. He actually showed me how to develop my own slides. So, and that was the day I figured out, you know what, I really don't like slides. But anyway, we were always about our cameras, and it's something that he really never, and I remember this now, just bringing back of this a little bit. I remember him handing me his camera. He says, "Here, Mo, here, you try." And I was like, because he really never let anybody touch his camera equipment. And he did that with me, so that even my husband says, he says, "That's an honor." He goes, I says, I kind of realized it. But one of the things that kill me, actually 2 things that kill me, is that it bugs me. And I've said this to him for years. I used to remember, but he says, I don't know. He says, it just never happened. He goes, they used to vacation. My husband and his family used to vacation to Miami, like 1973, 1974, 1975 era. Never once were they in Florida. Never once did my husband experience Disney World at that time. It was like, it would have been so amazing. And I was like, and I looked at my father-in-law, I was like, and you, where's your camera with the pictures then? He says, well, that would have happened if we went. He says, but we just never thought of it. And even my husband to this day, we still talk about it. He goes, no, he says, Mo, really, we probably never really thought of that. I says, Disney World, history could have happened down there at that time for you guys as kids. And then also like talking about the World's Fair, because like I said, my mother-in-law and her mom took my husband. However, my father-in-law never went. And I was like, really? You know the amount of pictures of the World's Fair he would have got back then? We talk about that. And my husband goes, yeah. He says, yeah. He says, you're right on it. He says, and then I says, well, then you would have had true memories of it. I just love the history part of things. I really do, especially in our own hometown here in New York City. And we were very blessed to have Walt Disney come. Now, a little bit of information with this is that Walt Disney tried to make a deal and mention the fact to our governor and our mayor back then of New York to possibly have that area for Walt. And we could have had something here that would have been amazing. But unfortunately, our governor and mayor went, nope, nah, that's okay. We don't want it. Do you know how much you could have brought money to New York City at that point? I mean, it was ridiculous, but that was our part of it. So Walt went, okay, no problem. And then, years later, here comes Disney World. But it was just one of those things, it was kind of sad in a way, kind of sad. So getting on with that, I do want to mention a certain vlogger. I'm not going to mention his name. I watch him, but I'm not subscribed anymore. But it just happened because I was looking up the World's Fair in my YouTube videos, because I like to sometimes watch videos. And this vlogger came up because he was here 3 months ago doing a little video in Queens, New York. I was like, really? So he also has I would like to correct him on a few things, but being that I am a New Yorker and I'm already here and that I know the history, but okay, whatever the case may be. So I wrote to him. He's the difference between me and vloggers who have what I consider way too much on their plate. the fact that I wrote that I thought maybe consideration he would have liked it or said maybe a little something back is like I try to do as much as I can with my followers and my people that, you know, watch my channel. I try to interact, but I also have the app on my phone, so that's how I can get a notification like that. Apparently maybe he doesn't. A lot of vloggers probably don't, but that's the point of interacting with your audience, and I'm very serious about that. So I, you know, and I appreciate all these, you know, but I wrote to him, and you know, there's a few points that he kind of missed. I don't mean to correct anybody, but at the same time, he never did visit a certain spot, and I think it would have been very beneficial for him and maybe his video that in Queens Museum, which is right near the World's Fair, it's on the same road at Queens Museum. Queens Museum actually has a big exhibit of the artifacts and stuff that was saved from the World's Fair. So, but he missed the mark on that. So that wasn't even shown. He went to the Met ball game, our New York Mets here. He went to the ball game. He just, you know, and things like that. And then he did some history. He was trying to find the plaques on the floor. He did manage to find the plaques. Now the plaques in the grass on the floor, those stand as us for memorials as to where the certain exhibits were. Okay, and we have one here that's very, very close to our heart, which is called Progress Avenue, which is where Carousel of Progress was, and Walt Disney's, his pavilions were in that area. So that was really cool. I just wanted to say that. So let me get going and put all this crap back, because I found what I was looking for. And I will be sitting, I'm gonna have some dinner, I will be watching these. I gotta put on my pajamas and everything. It is almost 5 o'clock. And it's raining, it was kind of blech out, but at least I got a chance to go out and walk a little bit, and I do my exercise. This is why I do what I do. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for checking me out. And I did a few videos today, as you guys could see. So I went to Aldo shoe store, which Aldo shoes now, they have a Disney collection of shoes. And let me tell you something, a pair of sneakers over there is $120, just saying. But they were interesting. Would I buy them? If I could wear pumps and stilettos again, maybe I would, but that's not happening either, especially for that price, okay? And especially because of yesterday with the fiscal thing, it's not sitting with me too well. So I'm gonna have to make some changes with my life and stuff, you know? So anyway, thank you so much. Love to all. Happy Thursday. Have a great night, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.